Across the galaxy, there were planets, dangerous, hostile places where life had to fight for every inch. These planets were home to the so-called Deathworlders, species that had evolved on worlds filled with constant peril. On Death Worlds, every day was a struggle for survival against natural disasters, predatory creatures, and environmental hazards. The creatures who survived these hellish conditions were not only resilient, they were ruthless, adaptable, and fierce. But the most dangerous aspect of a Deathworlder was not their environment. It was the sheer will to survive. Deathworlders understood that death was a constant presence in their lives, and they had developed instincts, technology, and an unrelenting drive to endure, fight, and dominate. To many of the galaxy's more peaceful or less aggressive species, the Deathworlders were a curious enigma, powerful but seemingly unpredictable. The reputation of their ships, however, was the most perplexing. When pirate crews, who specialized in raiding the ships of passing travelers and space merchants, reviewed cargo manifests, they often found one thing in particular missing from Deathworlder ships: weapons. It seemed strange, almost naive. Every other species in the galaxy listed their weapons openly. In a universe teeming with hostile forces and marauding pirates, not to disclose one's armament seemed like a recipe for disaster. But then, the pirates would learn, often too late, why. Captain Draxer, the Xylem Marauder, was no rookie. His crew had raided countless freighters, stolen untold riches, and escaped from more than one planetary defense force. The Xylem Marauder was a sleek, heavily armed warship that could outrun most pursuers, and her crew was feared across the known galaxy. Draxer's ship had recently intercepted a routine cargo vessel, the Sergal Rose, a trading ship from a relatively peaceful world. According to the ship's manifest, it was carrying valuable minerals, luxury goods, and, most importantly, no weapons listed. This was typical of cargo ships from non-aggressive species, and it made the target perfect for a simple raid. No weapons meant no serious resistance, and no serious resistance meant easy plunder. Draxer had his crew prepared aboard the vessel, confident that the Sergal Rose wouldn't be a challenge. But as they closed in on the freighter, something felt off. The crew of the Sergal Rose didn't seem worried. There was no sign of panic, no distress signals, no scrambling of defenses. They weren't even accelerating to evade. It seemed almost as if they were expecting the pirates. With the Sergal Rose locked into place and no signs of resistance, Draxer ordered his crew to board the vessel. His team, heavily armed and used to overpowering merchants, moved through the airlocks and onto the freighter's pristine hull. They were met with silence, too much silence. The corridors were dark and quiet, with no signs of life. As the pirates advanced deeper into the ship, they found no crew members. Not a single soul on board. It was like a ghost ship. It wasn't until they reached the ship's hold that they realized their mistake. The cargo bay was filled with crates of precious materials, exactly as described on the manifest. But the moment Draxer's team started to open the crates, they found not just luxury goods. They found weapons. Hundreds of them. Advanced, deadly weapons. From cloaking devices to plasma cannons, from automatic drones to adaptive energy shields, the Sergal Rose had a full arsenal. But it wasn't listed on the manifest. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an oversight. It was deliberate. As the pirates moved further into the ship, they triggered something. A low hum filled the air, and the lights flickered on. That's when the crew of the Sergal Rose made their presence known. The ship's captain, a human, one of the fabled Deathworlders, appeared on the monitors. His expression was calm, almost indifferent. "You've made a grave mistake," the captain said, his voice resonating through the ship's speakers. Before Draxer's crew could react, the ship came to life. Draxer's crew found themselves under attack from drones and automated turrets that had been hidden inside the crates. Energy shields activated around the Sergal Rose, absorbing blaster shots. The pirates' weapons barely made a dent as their own systems were hacked, their comms scrambled, and their attempts to board the ship thwarted by automated defense systems. It was a battle unlike anything the pirates had encountered. They had assumed an easy raid, but the humans had prepared for everything. The pirates were trapped in the ship's lower levels, unable to escape, while the Sergal Rose's automated defenses took down the attackers one by one. Draxer, now in a panic, ordered a retreat. But when he attempted to flee, he realized that the Sergal Rose wasn't just sitting idle. Its engines powered up, and with a shocking burst of speed, the ship shot away from the pirate vessel, leaving the Xylem Marauder stranded in space. The Sergal Rose had not only been armed to the teeth, but equipped with advanced maneuvering systems and cloaking technology that made it nearly impossible to track. Draxer's crew, once bold and confident in their piracy, now realized the truth. Deathworlders weren't weak because they didn't list their weapons. They were dangerous because they didn't. They didn't need to list their weapons because they had already prepared for the fight. Their ships weren't designed to rely on brute force. They were designed to outthink, outmaneuver, and overwhelm any attacker. And as Draxer's crew limped back to their ship, nursing their wounds and licking their pride, they realized something that would haunt them forever. Never underestimate a Deathworlder. Word spread quickly through the pirate circles. The Deathworlder ships didn't list their weapons because they didn't need to. The most dangerous thing about Deathworlder ships wasn't the weapons they carried. It was their unpredictability, their ability to turn the tables in an instant, to weaponize anything at their disposal, and to be prepared for every contingency. The pirates had learned a valuable lesson that day. The true power of Deathworlders wasn't in the weapons they carried. It was in their ability to survive and thrive against impossible odds. And that made them the most dangerous adversaries in the galaxy. From that day forward, whenever a pirate crew encountered a ship that didn't list its weapons, they would remember the lesson of the Sergal Rose and approach with a healthy respect. This story highlights the resourcefulness and deadly nature of Deathworlders, showing that their true strength lies not in traditional weaponry, but in their adaptability and survival instincts. The tale illustrates why underestimating a Deathworlder, or assuming that no weapons listed equals no threat, is a fatal mistake. The pirate ships of the galaxy were legendary. Crew members from various species, humans, Xylan, Errands, and more, lived by one rule: find the loot, take what you can, and leave no trace. Pirate ships were fast, cunning, and bristling with weapons. Every raid was meticulously planned. Weapons were always a primary concern, and every ship's manifest proudly listed the latest in blaster technology, torpedoes, and cloaking devices. If you were going to board a freighter or merchant vessel, you needed to know what kind of weapons they had so you could neutralize them. And then there were the Deathworlders. The reputation of Deathworlder ships was well known in the pirate community. Their ships rarely listed weapons, and for a long time, pirates assumed this was either an oversight or a deliberate attempt to hide them. But no one really knew what to expect from a Deathworlder ship. It was a matter of curiosity, or sometimes disbelief. That is, until one fateful raid that changed everything. Captain Grix of the Stinger was one of the most feared pirate captains in the galaxy. He was known for his ability to select the perfect targets, ships laden with precious cargo, low on defense, and easy to overpower. His crew was loyal and deadly, always prepared to take whatever was available. And when they intercepted the Obsidian Fong, a small merchant vessel on its way through a lightly trafficked sector, Grix's instinct told him this was another simple heist. The Obsidian Fong had a manifest full of rare ores and luxury items, enough to make the crew rich beyond their wildest dreams. But there was one thing that stood out in the manifest. No weapons were listed. There was only a vague mention of defensive measures. For Grix, this made the ship an even juicier target. No weapons? That was a sign of weakness, or a trap. Either way, it didn't matter. Grix's ship, heavily armed with plasma cannons and a missile payload, could handle anything. With a confident smile, Grix ordered his crew to prepare for the boarding. They would strike fast and brutal. No mercy. No questions. As the Stinger closed in on the Obsidian Fong, Grix's crew was ready. They deployed their grappling hooks, engaged the airlocks, and prepared to storm the merchant vessel. They had calculated everything. The crew aboard the Obsidian Fong was small, the ship appeared old and defenseless, and there were no signs of a military presence. The pirates would be in and out before anyone could respond. But when they boarded, things took an unexpected turn. The moment the pirates breached the ship, they were met with no crew, no resistance, only silence. They had expected to encounter a terrified crew or automated defenses. Instead, it was eerily calm. The corridors were dark, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. The Obsidian Fong appeared abandoned. At first, Grix and his crew thought it might be a trap, a trick to lure them into an ambush. But as they made their way through the vessel, they started to get a sense of something far more unsettling. The ship was too quiet. Grix's first officer, Vark, cautiously approached the control room, a strange feeling of dread growing in his chest. The control panel flickered on, and suddenly, the ship's lights powered up, revealing something shocking. Every single wall, ceiling, and floor was rigged with deadly traps. The ship wasn't without weapons. It was a weapon. A voice crackled over the speakers, sending a chill down the pirate crew's spines. It was calm, measured, and entirely without panic. "Welcome aboard the Obsidian Fong," the voice said. "I hope you enjoy your stay." Grix turned to see his crew members frantically retreating. One by one, they were being caught in force fields, grabbed by automated turrets, and trapped in rooms with walls closing in. There were no alarms, no screams. Just the cold mechanical efficiency of a ship that had been designed to protect itself at all costs. Then, as if in slow motion, Grix saw it. A series of concealed panels along the walls sliding open. From these hidden compartments, drones and automated defense systems began to emerge. They were not ordinary drones. These were advanced military-grade machines, equipped with plasma blasters, energy shields, and adaptive camouflage. Every inch of the Obsidian Fong had been designed for one purpose: to repel invaders. The crew of the Obsidian Fong had been watching all along, hidden from view, letting the pirates come aboard to trigger the traps. It was at that moment that Grix realized the truth. Deathworlder ships didn't need to list their weapons because their ships were the weapons. As the pirates struggled to escape, the captain of the Obsidian Fong appeared on the ship's monitors, a human, calmly sitting in a chair. His face was expressionless, his hands folded in front of him. "You thought you could take us without even considering the reality of where we come from," the Deathworlder captain said, his voice cold as ice. "We didn't list our weapons because we don't need to. This ship doesn't rely on external firepower. It is a weapon of survival." Grix, now cornered and with half his crew either incapacitated or fleeing for their lives, struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what he was hearing. The Deathworlder captain continued, "On our worlds, we face constant threats. Creatures, natural disasters, environments designed to kill us. We've learned to survive by adapting, by using everything around us as a tool for combat. This ship? It's a reflection of that philosophy. We don't announce our weapons because our weapons are invisible, adaptive, and always ready." At that moment, the reality of the situation hit Grix. The Obsidian Fong was more than just a ship. It was an extension of its crew's way of life. The Deathworlders had adapted to threats in ways no other species had considered. They didn't need to list weapons. They were weapons. Every part of their existence was tuned for survival, and that made them nearly impossible to defeat in their own environment. After what felt like hours of desperate evasion, Grix and a handful of survivors managed to escape, limping back to their ship. But the lesson had been learned. The Obsidian Fong didn't just carry weapons. It was a weapon, and in a galaxy of pirates, mercenaries, and intergalactic travelers, that made Deathworlders the most dangerous species to cross. Word spread fast throughout the galaxy. Pirate crews, smugglers, and bounty hunters began to share stories of the Obsidian Fong and its impossible defense systems. No longer would Deathworlder ships be seen as easy prey. From that point on, any ship that didn't list weapons on its manifest would be treated with extreme caution. The pirates learned the hard way that some species didn't need weapons. They were the weapons. And the Deathworlders? They simply returned to their homeworlds, knowing that they had once again demonstrated to the galaxy the true meaning of survival. This new story explores the myth of Deathworlder ships and reveals their true strength. Not in their firepower, but in their ability to adapt, survive, and turn any environment into a weapon. The pirates' assumption that no listed weapons meant an easy target leads to their downfall, teaching them a deadly lesson about underestimating those who come from the harshest worlds in the galaxy.